Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Foil Hats Optional. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Like I always say, it helps if you do that. Then you can keep up to date with all the content I'm trying to put out there. So I appreciate that if you do that. If you don't like what I'm doing, then that's cool. Don't watch. Today, I've got the pleasure of sitting down with my good friend, Glen Barth. He's the guy that Jeff Floyd likes to refer to as the wittiest guy I know. So without further ado, welcome, Glenn. Thanks for coming over, buddy.
Oh, man, my pleasure. The pressure's on if Floyd says that about me.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
Do you want to have a battle of wits then? So is that what we should do?
I don't know. I don't think we should do that. I haven't had enough to drink yet.
Well, I think we should say cheers to that.
All right. Cheers, buddy.
Happy Friday, buddy.
All right. You bet. Outstanding.
I needed that. Man, like I said, I was up till midnight last night screwing around with this new getup I got going here. And I don't know why I decided to do it at the last minute, but yeah, this is like hitting the spot. Yeah.
Excellent.
Are you gonna check out the eclipse on Monday?
No.
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 Not
Why?
interested? I'm
not
just asking.
Oh.
I'm just curious because I mean, I hear it on the radio and like it's a big deal. Everybody's like, "Oh, the eclipse! You got to see the eclipse."
Yeah. Well, go Google Eclipse 2024 and you'll see an eclipse on your fucking Google screen. So that's good enough for me.
All right, I'm down with that too.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's not like it's going to be 100%, here or whatever. You got to be up in the sky above the clouds, and then you got to be flying over Indiana at 2:47 in the afternoon or some bullshit. So no.
Right. I was the TMJ guys were talking about. They're like going down there. They're going to drive down after the show, and they're all they're dreading it because they're like, "Oh, we're going to drive down there. It's going to take 5 hours to get down to Indianapolis, but then to drive back, it's going to take like 12 hours because everybody's going down there." So.
No, I'd rather just go to a show and then, take 3 hours to get out of a fucking parking lot at Alpine Valley or some shit.
Right. That's fun too.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, it's, and then the show is actually longer. So,
The show is longer because of the parking lot?
No, the show is longer because any concert is fucking longer than the eclipse. What you were just talking about.
Don't get mad about the eclipse.
Well, just keep up with me.
Yeah, it's just a simple question if you like the eclipses or not.
Well, it's time to get fucking honest with people and tell them what's up. And no, the eclipse, no. I will pass all, and I'll be fucking working. So what the hell?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I'll be working too. That's right. Do you miss all the full moons we used to see on Thursday nights? The ones that were like doused in ass gravy. You miss that?
Not really, because every once in a while you'll catch one on Wednesday nights.
Really?
Just once in a while. Yeah. You remember we did see the vertical moon.
I never understood that.
I don't know either, man. I actually make it a point to make sure that my pants are fully cinched up for bowling because, I don't need anybody, saying anything about half my ass showing. So.
Well, and let alone like your ass is hanging out. Like, doesn't that bother you?
Yeah,
to have your ass
and
hanging out?
you can't tell that.
Right, exactly. You got to be able to tell that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like and I've seen.
Shut up.
I've seen full moons in the dead of winter when people are shoveling snow, and I'm like, you're out there in your, either your pajama bottoms or in your sweats, and your ass is hanging out. Yeah. And it's like zero. It's like, what's up, dude? You can't feel that? You can't tell that your ass crack is actually showing?
Right. My cheeks are frostbite. Not these ones.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got everything else covered up except your ass.
You think if you're snow blowing and your ass is hanging that far out when you're snow blowing, like if it gets frozen, do you think your turds come out frozen then?
I don't know. I haven't hung around that long enough to see anybody else do that, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I miss the full moons too. No, I don't miss those at all.
Yeah, because believe it or not, there's stinky full moons too.
Oh, dude, no doubt, man. That was you remember that one week? That was I laughed so damn hard because we're practicing and I'm up there. Crenshaw's on the left lane, I'm on the right lane, and he's behind one of these guys, and he just looks at me and goes, "Oof."
The Jackie Gleason on you, outstanding.
He did, man. I'm like, oh my God.
Buford T. Justice.
I was just ready to crack up, just like I was on Wednesday when Bud's buddy came in over to talk to him. I was just struggling with that because that's all I could think about was a million wire connectors in a car started on fire and not understand, well, how'd that happen? No.
Yeah.
Not that his car started on fire. I made that up. If he sees this, he's going to be like, that never happened.
Well, maybe it did happen. You just won't admit it.
Maybe it did. You never know. That's possible.
Well, I tell you what, if it does or did, Vern's going to hear about it.
He will. You don't think he would like come up to me like, dude, why you got to talk shit?
No.
You're probably right. People aren't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause they'll probably go to those people that are close to him. So he'd probably go to Vern and say, hey, why does that guy talk shit? So,
and then, we'll see how that works out.
Yeah. If we get to that point.
Nobody watches this shit.
That's why I got invited.
No, not at all. No, you'll be number one guest. So speaking of bowling, you recently had a 300 game. I was there to witness that. Yep. So congrats on that.
Thanks, buddy.
How many of those have you had?
That was my third.
It was your third?
Yeah.
One was how long between 300 games?
Too damn long. 2010 was the last one.
Okay. That's what is it? If I can do math, I have a public education. 14 years?
Yeah.
I don't have any. So I'd someday maybe. I've been close a couple times. I was close this week.
You were.
I don't know what the hell happened on that 8th frame, but whatever. Shit happens.
You don't know
right?
exactly, but sometimes it's just gonna happen if you do it enough and you just keep you get that time where it's consistent. I mean, you saw what happened that particular night. It happened to me twice where you bowl the perfect game and then you crap the bed the next game.
Hold on. I want to say that.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to fucking say that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what the. Yeah, that's the more important question. What was up with that piece of shit you threw after the 300 game?
Well, I don't know. And if I knew, I wouldn't have thrown a piece of shit. First of all, second, I think if I look back on it, it's just a combination of a lot of stuff because everything does need to happen rather perfectly, believe it or not, for a 300 game. And
right.
So I think after that game, I went to the bar and had several drinks, and and then
right after that game, like right after,
because I went to go buy us a drink, and then I bought like a lot of people sitting at the bar a drink, and then people in turn were buying me drinks. I mean, I probably had 5 shots in between the games.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's not an excuse, but you asked
it's a valid one.
Yeah. But you asked what happened, and so yeah, I was totally on cloud 9 because that's a story part of it too, is like you're just really pumped up about something like that, and I don't know if I got a little fast or what was going on, but yeah, you open up that next game with 5 consecutive splits, man.
Yeah.
And one of them's makeable, and then I throw the ball right in between the 2 pins. Don't think it'll do it, but I threaded that needle, and it's like, all right, here we go. This is what's going to happen, and
yeah.
You get excited, but I don't regret that for one second, because the game afterwards is nothing at all in comparison to probably the most fun night I had at a bowling alley. Throwing that game with so many like friends, amazing bowlers, Hall of Famers. My wife was there.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking incredible.
That's cool.
The only thing better would have been if my daughter was there.
Right.
And in fact, I was texting her in that third game because she's congratulating me.
Well, you weren't bowling, so why not?
Well, yeah, I wasn't bowling well. I mean, I was bowling off, and I was bowling 2 damn balls a frame for the rest of the night.
You wore out, tired.
I mean, it's and you look at it, and I was joking, that whole third game. I said, yeah, I'm good for like, I'm good for 20, or good for like 15, 18 strikes a night, and I got 12 of them in one. It's like, so over the last 2 games, I get 4 or 5 strikes, and then average night. And but it was really cool to have so many just amazing people there. Karen and I still joke about it that it took me probably I can't even remember. Did it take me 5 minutes to even get to her for her to congratulate me? And
probably
she was at the table where we were bowling, and it's like everybody was coming up to me, and It was really something. Of course, Mike Welter, Hall of Famer and teammate of ours, was one of the first guys there, and just, I mean, people that I didn't even know were there came up and were congratulating me.
It's a big deal, man. People.
Yeah, well, and believe it or not, as much as bowling is competitive, it is just so. It's also so supportive. There are just so many bowlers that just want the best for each other, and it took me a long time to realize that. And it's like, because I'm still a jerk, don't get me wrong. Or
I don't think you are, because if you were a jerk, not everybody would be coming up to you after
exactly. But if I do that 20 years ago,
were you a bigger jerk back then?
I think my eyes weren't as open to exactly what's going on around me, to be honest. But all those people, I mean, God, I could sit here forever and just name everybody. And that's also what's really cool. As much as I had to drink, I remember everybody that came up, and
by name. You gonna name them all right now? Do you want to? I'll just cut it out if I don't like it. So
Joe Thonis, Mike Vasey, Brett Pinnaker, your wife, Debbie Crenshaw, Joe Crenshaw, Dan Sell, Lisa Sell, John Bame, Matt, what was his name? Matt. God damn it.
The count.
Let me count how many times you can go fuck yourself. Matt Remington. He took the second video that is on that's on Facebook, where Karen took the video that most people see, where you really can't see the strike because my big ass is in the way, but you can watch the replay on the screen above, or you can watch the video that Matt took. He was on the side, and yeah, there was just so many people there that were there that whole day. I could continue going on. Darren Lauren Fisher around the pair next to us, Chad Sampson, Karen Flynn was there. Gangle was our waitress that night.
Yeah.
Horace Pinker himself.
He'll be our waitress this Saturday too.
All right.
Maybe he'll do it again.
Yeah, he'll remind me. He'll ask me if I'm gonna, shoot a 300 and then crap to bed. And yeah, I'd love to, because again, no better feeling than when you shoot that, because that's just one game. I mean, I always say the best thing about bowling is when you can get to like something like an 800 and have a series. Some people are doing that, several times a season, and they're amazing. I haven't done that once yet, and that'd be that's going to be something that might be I might not recover for the next day for whatever I need to do after that, because I would celebrate if I did something like that, because that, to me, that's the true accomplishment, because I've done the 300 game, and I haven't been able to put like 3 great games together. My first one was on the tail end of a 729, so I had 200, 224, or 204, 225, and 300. And hey, I got better each game that way instead of getting worse like in the other ones. But yeah, I just think that is so cool when people are throwing 800s out there, because you're doing it all. Every game you're not missing. And
yeah,
that's
right.
That's amazing. And our teammate Mikey had that just this a Saturday or two ago here, and
he's got 2 300s this year on both on Saturdays. I was there for both of them.
Yeah, that's something too. You really don't see a whole lot of that in couples league, because everything's so relaxed and it's not as trying to put it all together. But
the lanes are wonky a lot of times too, because it's couples bowling, so that the oil gets all. I struggle on couples because the oil's just all over the place.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But that's why Mike does what he does, because I mean that's he
a pallet of bowling balls.
Yes, he has a lot of bowling balls, but he works on what he works on his game all the time. I mean, he's there during the week in the afternoon, and he'll throw and gets just keeps working, and it's been a real joy to have him as a teammate this year. I knew it was going to be an honor going in, but having him and Vern Fink as teammates along with you is it's just having those two guys first time teammates for us with them, and man, it's just really nice to have support, the support from your teammates like that. and just a little bit of coaching here and there, a little bit of talking you off the ledge when, and you may not even really need it, but they're there. And that Mike Welter, man, he is just there all the time for everybody. I mean, he works with everybody and he will not hesitate. If anybody either asks, I mean, and mostly they're asking. I never really seen him go up to somebody and just start telling them, hey, you should do this. But if somebody comes up to him, he knows what's going on with their game and he tells them maybe something to do different. He's worked with people after bowling, and he's coached a few in the afternoons, and he's a real treat. I mean, he's just part of what that bowling community is all about.
Yep.
So, and again, there's just so many cool people out there. Did I mention Mike Vesey earlier? Because he was.
I don't think you did.
Yeah, I mean, when you got Joe Thonis, Mike Vesey, and Dar, they're all Hall of Famers, and it was just cool to see all those people there. That was just it was so much
Crenshaw.
fun.
You didn't mention him, but you probably did that on purpose.
Joseph Crenshaw. Yeah, he was there, and he was my teammate that night, and because I was subbing for you, and he's something too, and he's been around a long time, and he's been around giving everybody a hard time for a long time, and but he's still a great dude, and he's part of that community too, and he will not he's out there. He's if he's not bowling in a tournament, he's out watching those guys and supporting them. Sometimes he's giving them crap, but he's out there seeing everybody and seeing what's going on. And he's just a big part of that community that I think everybody just kind of takes that for granted, and you have to really appreciate all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's well, we hang out enough that he loves to give everybody shit. He's the first guy to walk in and start giving you shit right away, right?
Right.
That's what he does. That's why I usually start giving him shit before he can give it to me. I'm like, oh yeah, fight fire with fire, buddy.
Yeah. But, you can either let him go or you can give it right back to him. Yep. And sometimes it feels good to give it back, but sometimes it's all right to just let him go and just
Yeah, I don't mind. I like it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But he's been helpful, like because I bowl couples with him. As much as shit as he likes to give you all the time, he's right there to help you out too.
Yeah.
And he's not like you said, not trying to tell you, but if he sees that you're doing something, hey, maybe bump it here or maybe get a little deeper or something like that. Cause he can see when you're throwing a ball, like it ain't doing what you want it to do. So he sees it. Cause obviously he's bowled a million games. Right. Him and Mikey the same. I'm going to make both those guys help me in this off season. Since I decided to bowl another year, I'm going to try harder so I can be better. So I don't know. I'm just like, I read a book, and in that book, there was a chapter in there, or it was just a short sentence or paragraph. And it said, pick something that you want to do and do it as best as you can. Try as hard as you can at just pick one thing and try as hard as you can and see what the result is. And that really stuck with me. I thought about that for a long time, and I've been thinking about it for a while. And I thought, well, maybe I should try bowling. And I thought, well, I'm a fat bastard, so I thought maybe I should try working out and getting all swole, bro, because that's cool too. And like, there's a whole bunch of things you can pick. You can pick whatever you want. I've always said I wanted to be really good shape once in my life. Maybe not. But I've been debating, like, well, I'm going to pick something that I can just, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the maximum effort into it and see what the results are. Because you would think if you're going to put the maximum effort into whatever it is you choose, you would hope that you would get some pretty good results. And it might just motivate you to want to do it more when you start to get those results. So I think I'm going to do that with bowling, because I've contemplated it, but yeah, it's not about me. I'm going to back up a little bit on the 300 game, because I had a thought on that when you threw the clunker afterwards too. I'm not trying to beat you up on it, but I was thinking about why that
somebody's
happens.
gotta. Why not you?
No, I was just thinking, why does that happen? It's got to be a big emotional dump when you have a 300 game like that. It's like almost like this giant weight off your shoulders, and sometimes when you have that, you're just like, ugh. You know what I mean? It's like you're not doing it on purpose to check out, but you just kind of like, oh man, all that emotion and everything you just put into that. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, this is release. And then you don't, maybe your focus isn't there like it was or whatever, because I know other people that have had 300 games that haven't had great series too. That doesn't seem to be an uncommon thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's again, you can throw X amount of strikes per night and you just happen to throw 12 in a row the same in the one game. You can end the game with 6 in a row and start the next game with 6 in a row. And where does that get you?
Yeah. I've done that before. I've thrown 300 games before, never in one game.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just a matter of, that the luck of just getting that done. But, yeah, looking back, you wish I wish I didn't, crap the bed on that. But again, it's just, it's what it is. Not everybody gets to throw a 300 game. So it's not, it's just something. And some people that have done it a lot haven't done it in a while. Some people have, done it a ton. So I've been bowling for quite a while. I took a little bit of a break, back in the 90s, but, yeah, I like to throw my 300 games once every 14 freaking years. So
yeah, do it more often. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, exactly. And when you do have, when you do have guys that are kind of, maybe critiquing you, I wouldn't say critique, but, it's nice to be able to bounce off of, Mike and Vern, what I've been, what I'm noticing that I'm doing. And, and Mike is probably the biggest one to tell me just to slow down. We talk about how the ball comes off your hand and I try to concentrate on staying down on the shot and following through but there's so many things. My wife actually calls me Mr. 80% because I do pretty much, 80% of anything she tells me to do, or I do 80% of anything I'm going to do. And
it's better than 50%.
Well, it is. That's actually, I'm no math magician like Jensen, but that's actually, that's 60% better than 50%. So,
yeah.
There you go.
66% of the time it works every time.
Yeah. See, that's how it is. But, you think of all that crap that you got to do and that's why you look at Mike Welter, and he's kind of deliberate. He's not slow, but he's deliberate and he checks himself. He gets his little knee bend in, and then he takes his steps and he goes, and it's like watching the same thing over and over. And maybe he just comes off his hand different. But, I've got a list of things that I have to check when I'm up there, and I probably think of 8 of the 10 of them or 80% of them.
Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's like it's kind of like how you're starting, pushing away, how your hand is on the ball. I actually, if you see me, I'm taking my time before I get set, because I'm fucking around with my pinky finger on the ball, because I have to have it in a certain position.
Oh boy!
I mean, it's just like
this is good shit to know, right?
Yeah,
here.
it's like feel. It's just having the feel, and some people can just throw their hand in and go, but for some reason I have to. And it's been happening for a couple of years now, and I can't explain it.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, we see enough of it, and we'll get into some of that stuff later, because we see enough of that. I only got a couple things that I know that I do. I mean, I get my feet where they need to be. That's my first thing. I always get my feet lined up because I'm big on having my feet in a certain spot, because that's what helps me get lined up to where I want to throw the ball. So I do that, and I just make sure, like, I always kind of get this little shoulder shimmy thing, because I want to make sure that it reminds me to get my shoulders angled where I want to throw the ball. That's the only reason that is. But like, as far as my hand, I just fucking put it in there and I'm ready to go then. It's like 2 things, maybe 3. That's about it.
Yeah.
Because then I look down the lane, I'm like, all right, that's where I got to throw it. But like I said, we'll get back to that, because that's a whole nother discussion. If you had to choose, I mean, I think I probably know the answer, but I'll ask you anyways, like 300 or 800?
Oh, 800 by far.
I've only bowled over 700 twice. I had my best series of the ever this year, actually, early this year, couples bowling at a 745 or 740 something. It's kind of like, it's weird. Like, bowling's kind of goofy. Sometimes you go out there, or like I'll go out there and I feel like I'm just struggling. Like I'm just really having a hard time getting the ball to go where I want. And next thing I look down, I got 680. I'm like, how'd that happen? And then sometimes I'm going out there, I feel like I'm throwing the ball great, and it's just like, boom, 450. I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. You know, sometimes you get carries, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, you can have a good night and you can throw really well. And you know, I can say, yeah, I just shot the best 630 I ever did in my life because you're throwing the ball well and you know every single shot you left. And you know, how many times have you gone and said, I missed 3 out of the 7, 10 pins I left or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, because you know you threw the ball well and now you're shooting at that same thing. And then, you know, the reason that you're not bowling as well is because, yeah, you left those and then you missed, you know, again, you know, quite a few of them or whatever in the grand scheme. But yeah, I've had those series where it's like, yeah, I can tell you what I threw every shot. And but I'm not going to tell you. That's another thing that we can talk about.
Okay.
Is other clowns that do that shit.
Oh yeah. Well,
but,
yeah.
Unsolicited.
We're gonna hit that. Oh, that's the whole segment.
Yeah.
We'll
okay.
break this up. We don't want to talk bowling for like 4 hours. We'll talk for 2 hours and then a break and then another 2 hours of bowling. We'll do some other stuff in between.
Yeah, that's all right too.
Did you grow up around here?
Yes.
You did.
Lifetimer.
Lifetimer? Grew up in Racine, city of Racine?
Yep.
Okay. Went to all the public schools, all that stuff?
Sure did.
Okay. I ask because...
You can tell because of how smart I am.
Well, you are. I mean, the wittiest guy that Jeff Floyd knows.
Fucking Floyd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a... I'm not going to disagree with him. My wife and I had... we have a debate. She thinks she's wittier than I am. And I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm like, I'm way wittier. And she's like, no, you're not. Anyways, maybe the three of us will have a battle of wits.
Well,
and then Jeff Floyd can be the judge. And if he doesn't agree with me, I'll just smash him.
Well, there you go. That would be fine because that would be fun to watch anyway.
I'll just go behind the bar. That problem will resolve itself.
He'll kick his own ass by trying to jump over. No, but you know, timing's everything. It's like, you know, sometimes I don't say a thing, but then when I just either, you know, feel like it or get a little of the truth serum in me or something, you never know what can come out of this mouth. So I don't know.
Taking it easy on that thing because you're afraid what you might say.
Yeah, because
I'd say you chug it down because I want to hear it.
Well, yeah, because you talked about like the couple of times you shot past 700, and I've been close to an 800. The closest I've been is 779. I threw it in Kenosha at a state tournament team event. I remember it well because I pulled an all-nighter the night before, and at about 7 o'clock in the morning, I fell asleep in my chair at home, and I woke myself up because I spilled my drink that I had.
Good God!
And yeah, went to bowl 5 hours later and tore it up.
Well, what's the lesson we learned here? You want to bowl well, pull an all-nighter.
Yeah, so maybe I should do that on Tuesday nights from now on.
You're too old for that. You're not going to do that.
No, God, I couldn't even do it all afternooner anymore.
You have to call Lance if you want to do that.
Well, that's the problem. He was with me on that night. And then,
figures.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then yeah, so that was that, but that was a good time too. I mean, as far as bowling that, but yeah. See, the truth serum is coming out.
Hey, it's all about good times.
People don't know about that too much, but that is the high series and the shenanigans that went on around there.
We can chop it out if you don't want people to know about it. Just say, I don't want people to know about that, and then I'll make a short clip. The reason I asked you if you grew up around here because I know you're a Sox fan.
Yep.
Are you a fan of any other Chicago teams or just the Sox?
Just the Sox. I do have a certain I don't know if I want to say respect. I guess I can respect any team that has that's good, and I think I've learned that over the years too. And I say that because I have a friend who is a Bears fan, Bears season ticket holder, and I go down to a game with him every year, and you know, I'm not going to go down to a game that's a Bears game and, you know, not cheer him on, you know. I'm not a huge fan per se, but I'll support him when I go down there, and I do enjoy going down to the Bears game, and you know, I've seen some great ones. I've seen I've seen the Packers kind of take it to them, which is
They have, yeah.
which is hard to do. I mean, and I'm going down with these guys and they're kind of pressuring me, are you a Packer fan today or are you a Bear fan? And it's like, well, I'm a Packer fan today, but they get it, and that's what's cool about it is like, they don't beat me up about it. And
Hold on. You're a Packer fan?
Well, yeah. See,
Okay.
this is the complicated thing.
So now there's a whole bunch of stuff now I have to ask.
Yeah.
But okay, let's get it all on our table here. We'll get it on the table and then I can nail them down one by one.
So here we go. Just bring it all out. About 12 years old, impressionable youth. I have my best friend, Kevin. He is
Oh, I thought you were going to say a Playboy magazine.
Nope. That was after that.
Second best friend.
Right. So he's a Dolphins fan.
Okay.
And around that, he is he's been a Dolphins fan pretty much like I would say the 72 Dolphins are the team that, he started. That's when you're young again, you're impressionable, and then that's like your team, and he stayed with them ever since. And God bless anybody that you have a team that you like, you stick with them, and that's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not a fan if you're not going to stick with them.
Right. So back then it was kind of like, all right, we got the Dolphins, we got the Packers, and then my brother Russ is he was a Cowboys fan, and I'm like, oh yeah,
is that where that came from?
I like the Cowboys.
I know you like the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Is that where it came from? Because your brother?
Not necessarily, because, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like you have the Packers and you have the Dolphins, you have the Cowboys. It's kind of like, okay, it's time to pick one. And again, impressionable youth. Cowboys are the hot team, in the mid 70s.
Yeah. The Packers had some rough years.
Packers were brutal. And so I said, well, I'm going to pick the Cowboys. That's the team that I picked, and I still stick with them. People don't know about it because I'm not a cock, and I don't I'm not all Cowboys, and that's the whole point of all of this is like I'm a football fan to the point where I'm a football fan.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize the good, you recognize the bad. Taking both in there, you have the facts of life, but you can, but you don't have to you don't have to get into a bash fest, and you don't have to be on pick. I'm not a fan to the point where I have to be like just that Cowboys fan. It's like, yeah, I will cheer for the Packers. And I don't do it as often as I probably should, and it's because and we've touched on this before. It's like, because hey, sometimes people are jerks, and it's like, it almost makes you want to cheer against those guys because the fans are jerks. But anyway,
that's interesting that people are like that. But yeah, next time you come over, we're gonna dive into that.
Yeah,
that'll be a good topic.
So yes, Cowboys fan. And yes, they have been mired in mediocrity for a good, I don't know. I think I've actually lost track. It's 28 years now.
I mean, they're just like you can see that team's got all the talent, right? They always draft, and they always in free agency, they have a lot of talent, and I always try to figure out like how can they keep turning these players over, because you know how much it costs to keep players like that,
right?
And that's the thing. It's got to be when you got an organization like that where they got the tools to do it, but they just can't get over. You know what I mean? They get so far, and then that's it.
Yep. It's frustrating, but and hey, but and then going into you talked about Chicago and the Sox. It's they I've been a Sox fan for 50 years now, and
it's a long time.
Yeah, and
aren't you like 45 or something?
58.
Oh shit, fucking old.
Yeah, I am old. I'm an old fat bastard.
You're gonna retire soon, huh?
God, no.
I mean, you could retire soon, but
I could, but I'm not going to. I love my job too much.
There you go. Yeah, who doesn't?
Oh boy, some of this here. But New York Yankees, 27 world titles. Is that in what 100 and is that in 150 years now?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean that's pretty good, but they don't win every fucking year.
No, they don't, but they win a lot.
They do win a lot.
It's baseball's. My brother and I disagree on the the salary cap thing in baseball. I feel like I think a lot of sports, basketball, baseball, they could take lessons from the NFL, because the NFL, I mean, they're the most marketable, the most watched sport, there is. Not on the planet, because football, like soccer, in other countries is super popular. Probably that's I believe it is the most popular sport in the world. But, the NFL's got it. They figured it out when they did the salary cap thing. That's why, these games are competitive all the time. And people love watching it. They get great ratings. Baseball, for whatever reason, is still that old school thing where they don't, like, the Yankees can spend as much money as they want year in, year out. And like you said, they don't win every year, but they're there where they can be close to winning every year. There's some teams that they just know it year after year. We're just never going to really compete. They know they're not. We're just like, we're trying to just make enough money, get enough asses in the seats so we can keep this team going, and then the luxury tax, I'm sure money gets kicked back, but I don't know why they haven't changed that over the years. It's just old crotchety baseball stuff. It's probably the same reason that Angel Hernandez is still fucking umpiring game. That dude is brutally horrible. I just saw another one today. That guy, I just don't understand why they can't get rid of that dude. He called a swing on a guy that he didn't even, that bat, it was so far from being a swing. I don't know how you could make the mistake of saying, that's a swing. Like, I just think he's just doing it just to be a dick. I think he does it because he knows he can't get fired, and he wants to be, it's an ego thing. I want to be the centerpiece. I am the umpire. I'm Angel Hernandez. He's a dick.
Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with professional sports all the way around. But I think, I still look at, you talk about the Yankees or the Dodgers and all this money being thrown around, and they're not winning as much as they should with the money that they're throwing around, and and that's and first of all, if you have the money, I mean, anybody, if you have the money, you spend it. And yeah, I get the whole cap thing or whatever, but some people may not have the money, but some people are just smarter about it. I mean, look at the Cardinals. Look at the Twins.
That's true. Yeah.
The
Cardinals got a pretty good payroll too, though.
They do at times, but and sometimes you'll see this I see this with the Yankees, because I think I follow the American League a little bit more, but sometimes these guys are like, they're like crapping talent out of their farm system. It is just amazing, because, and I'm going to use the Twins and the Cardinals as an example, is because they do everything the right way at the beginning of their system, from the ground up, from A ball all the way through. And I think that says a lot. The Brewers are an example of that I'd like to use as a comparison, because they don't have the money. And I had been saying for years, like, if they're getting salary cap money kicked back to them for people that are over the cap and whatnot, it's like, what were they doing with that money for these years? And it's like, and I said, just keep going into the farm system, put it in the farm system. And now, I mean, not that that's what they actually have done, but I think they have to an extent. And they're churning out some young talent. They've got a good farm system.
They seem to have a propensity to develop pitching, for sure. Over the last few years, that you've seen a lot. I mean, and some of them are like trades that they're trading for minor leaguers when they're letting these high salaries go. But they certainly have had some. Corbin Burns is a guy that they just obviously traded. He's a phenomenal pitcher. Brandon Woodruff is a guy who's injured but on their staff. I mean, a lot of these guys that come up through. And they got guys now this year, this Uribe guy that they got that's relieving. Holy fuck, that guy throws a ball 103 miles an hour.
Right.
And it ain't straight.
Yeah, exactly.
That thing has got big movement on it. Like,
yep. If it moves, then that's something special. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. And then when you do have to trade your high priced guys away, yeah, what are you getting in return? Are you getting something that's you're going to be able to have help you out down the line? And I think that they've recently, I think they've been able to do more of that, and that's exciting for the fans around here, that they that, yeah, maybe they're not, they're not the Yankees, they're not the Dodgers, but you know what? They make baseball exciting, and they're drawing 3 million a year. Um, you know, not a lot of teams can say that.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice if they could make money off of that 3 million people, but they don't have the TV contract.
Right.
So, it's just, but you do the best with what you have, and all these people that have all the money in the TV contracts, California Angels or Los Angeles Angels,
Dodgers.
Oh yeah, well yeah, the Dodgers for sure. But look at the Los Angeles Angels. God, they spend so much money and have absolutely nothing to show for
That's
it.
true. Yeah,
I
they
mean,
don't.
They do have a World Series. What was it in 12? Maybe 2012, 2002. I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
Might not be all about championships to a lot of those guys too. I mean, some of them owners, it's probably just about money.
Yeah, maybe
you like to win, but if you got a TV contract and you're staying fairly competitive, so you're in the playoffs or right around the playoffs all the time, deep into the playoffs, then your fan base sticks around. And some guys maybe don't. I don't know. I can't tell you because I don't own a professional sports team, like what my thought process is. I know that they like the players, but I'll use the Chiefs for an example because obviously they're on a great run right now, and they've got all the pieces there. And you can tell, like, a guy like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, those guys, winning championships is like priority number one to them, especially a guy like Mahomes. That guy could have all the money he wants. He doesn't, that's not, he's not just like saying, I'm going to play for nothing. But he has no problem restructuring his deal.
Right.
And so that he can make sure that they can keep bringing players in there so that as long as he's there, he has a chance to keep winning championships because that's important to him.
Yeah.
So I think the players and the coaches might have a different value of the team than the owners do sometimes. Some owners probably really want to win a championship. Some probably just want to make a bunch of money, and I'm not going to fault you for either one, I guess,
Sure. Yeah, I think if and there are plenty of dudes that are out there that are restructuring their contract, or they are just taking deferred payments and whatnot, for the benefit of the team to be currently competitive. And I think that's probably one of the coolest things in sports. I mean, again, being a Cowboys fan, Aikman was doing that back in the day. And, as much as all you fuckers hate Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, fuck all you guys. Aikman knows what he's talking about. Joe Buck, you can have him, but, you guys don't want him, but lay off of Aikman. He knows
on
what
my
the fuck
shit
he's doing.
list.
Yeah.
You want to know why?
Not really, but you're going to tell me because this is your fucking podcast. Go
exactly.
ahead.
So, no, he's not really on my shit list now, but Aikman, he had a tweet. So when Mahomes started winning right away, somebody said, "Oh, Mahomes got one Super Bowl or something like that," or somebody tweeted out something about his stats being better than Aikman's for his career. Like Mahomes was on a way better path, and Aikman had to tweet back and said, "Let me know when he's got a third of my Super Bowl rings." So now he's got all the Super Bowl rings that you have, and his stats are better. Shut up, Aikman.
There you go. Did you tweet him back?
No, I'm not a tweeter.
Oh.
I'm a twatter.
Nice.
No,
So you're not on X. You're on V then.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I was on X, but it's lame. It wasn't. I got on there for a couple of reasons. The sports stuff is, a lot of guys tweet out on the sports stuff on X or Twitter, so it's good to follow that stuff. But it's like, man, when Elon bought it, it's like that was part of the reason that I downloaded, started going on it, because I wanted to see the shit show that was going to go along with that. Plus the sports part of it, because I do know a lot of these writers, man, and that's where they dump all their news. So I'm like, it's a good place for that. So then it's a bonus to watch everybody freak out because Elon Musk bought Twitter and says, well, I'm not going to just ban everybody that comes on here. But what I was seeing, and it's just like everybody's just pissed off and he's being shitty all the time. Like, I just got away from it. I don't really care that much.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
I'm on there because it is a good outlet for your sports news, and I follow I follow a couple of beat writers for the Cowboys, several beat writers for the Sox, and and a couple of national writers, and it's actually especially when it's live events, it's just a way to kind of keep up with things and see, you know, and getting like reaction off of like sporting events and having to look at your Facebook feed for some of that stuff and some of the reactions from fans is just that's more comical than anything.
Oh, no doubt, man. People are like, I'm like, people are into their teams, man. Gotta be real careful what you say to some people.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, being in the spot where we're in Racine, we're right in between Chicago and Green Bay, so you know that, you know, people in Racine or even Packer fans maybe anywhere know that when the Bears lose, there is no better radio than a Bears post-game show.
No doubt.
So, you
same
know,
thing with the Cubs. The Cubs are the same way. Like you listen to the Chicago sports radio. Those guys, when those teams win, they are all over them. They're the best ever, and then they lose 2 games. Like, you're fucking terrible.
Yeah, it is,
like,
man.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's quite entertaining.
Yeah, it's
to say the least.
bipolar for sure. And yeah, sometimes it's good to listen to that, and and people do, and it is kind of funny. It's comical, but so I get that, you know, I get that on the Twitter feed, but like trying to get that on Facebook from these people that, you know, somebody said something, and there's a lot of you guys out there that do that. You say stuff and nobody responds. Some people will kind of jump on with you or whatever, but yeah, you look, you know, and not that I don't even know if you're like looking to get a reaction or get a rise out of anybody, but it's like you're like I say, you're the old man yelling at the cloud.
Yeah, troll masters.
It's like, dude, you're not gonna really accomplish anything. If it makes you feel better that you're gonna, you know, post that on your Facebook page and whatnot, go ahead, knock yourself out. But I don't necessarily see that Facebook is the outlet for that. X is a much better outlet for something like that.
Noted. Maybe I'll get back on there. I don't know. I got a lot of shit going on. So
well, yeah, you have a thing or two going on.
I might have to be on Twitter. I might have to put this on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you know, throw you know, especially if you're doing, you know, like you're starting this out. I think this is really a cool gig that you're doing, and I think that, you know, eventually you're going to get this down to where you know, you're recording an episode and hopefully you know, you're knocking it out and posting it up maybe like 3 to 4 days instead of, you know, like a little bit longer. I get what, you know, you are doing a lot to put this together, where some people are just sitting in front of a webcam on their laptop and doing podcasts that way. And you know, and that's okay, you know, if the topic is good, but it's kind of uninteresting to you know, to an extent in that matter too. I listen to a couple of podcasts, so I don't have to see, you know, them sitting in front of their computer for it. So I'll listen to it, and that's cool.
You can listen to this one. You don't have to watch it.
No, man,
I'd kind of a bonus.
I'd rather watch, you know, from what I've seen so far. I've seen the young and beautiful and talented Jordan Petrick, and I've seen the Too Good for You Jenny Petrick, and so
wow, that was mean.
So yeah,
You're
well,
just
you know,
as bad as she is.
Well,
when people come on my show and they went, "Hey, you're a fucking piece of shit," like real nice.
I didn't say that you were a piece of shit. I just said that she was better than you. You know, you might be at the top of my list, but you're actually the second from the top of my list because maybe Jenny is there. But so that's how, you know. And if you're at the bottom of my list, well, she's still above you. So, but anyway, take it for what you want. But you know,
I don't take anything. I take it all for granted.
Your family's amazing. So that's all I can say about that. Buddy. Yeah. All you guys, all the way from you and Jen to you know, my good buddy Cody, and
you're my first non-family guest. How about that shit?
Well, you know,
high five.
Well, yeah, well, high five, yay me, but you know, you never know that you may this might go on so long, it may take you about 4 months to edit it out,
or maybe I'll just get tired and just like, I'm just gonna put it out
there and just have everybody listening.
Everybody else can chop it up.
We can have parties and just like put this on. You can put it on New Year's Eve and have it go for 4 hours.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, Crenshaw will have never if we drink ending fun making fun of us for doing this for sure.
Well, yeah, and until he gets on here,
he
and
won't watch it though.
Well, probably
just make fun of it.
Probably
he'll
not.
Never actually.
Yeah, he can cock off. That's fine. But we'll go on for this long enough. Then they can play it on New Year's Eve, and if we drink enough Jameson, they can watch my balls drop.
There you go. All right. So
There
getting
you
back
go.
to, not really getting back there, but I want to tie in the you being a fan of the White Sox, Chicago, and obviously you got a friend that's a Bears fan, so I know you get down to Chicago often.
Yep.
So I'm sure you got a list of good restaurants to go down there and eat at.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to one together that was
Yep.
fantastic, by the way.
Yeah. Kuma's is known nationwide.
Playing all the great old 90s death metal hits that
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I know this, I know that. I'm like,
Yeah,
this burger's good, and I'm drinking beer.
Yeah, I took you to the OG on
Yeah.
on Belmont there, and then and it's a nice little corner bar. Yeah, they don't have they don't put sports on TV. They have one TV. I think one of the first time I was in there, they're playing some, like, some old science fiction movie or whatever. Where,
Nice.
it's just terrible. One night I was in there, and now here we are. We're just talking about bowling, and the damn the Big Lebowski was on. They had the Big Lebowski on.
Good
So
movie.
it's just weird how they just have stuff in it. I mean, I haven't seen like a regular TV station on, but they have one TV, and they just throw a movie or whatever in there.
I gotta ask you something, dude. You gotta use so many cuss words. What the fuck, man? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. So, but you can't hear it because the music's playing.
Because you got death metal going in there.
Hell yeah,
Good
it's
stuff.
and it is pretty wild. But
like your idol.
What's that?
Your idol.
My idol.
Yeah, man, the guy that your whole fashion statement that you make based off of your idol. I think what's his name? The lead singer of Napalm Death.
Yes, I am. To you, I am
Glen
Napalm
Barney,
Death.
Glen Barney, something. I'm having a brain fart right now.
Yeah, I don't know his name. You do. I just remember seeing him when we went to the show together, and you said how that was me, and I was like, yeah, just just a plain dude, just belting it out.
That's what I was like. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, back in the day, he had like really. Well, we all probably had long hair back in the day.
Yeah,
but yeah. That was a good show.
but yeah, Kuma's is fantastic. They have a couple of other locations. They had one in Vernon Hills that was more of like it certainly didn't belong. It was more of like it was like a mall Kuma's, and it food was still good.
Mm-hmm.
The music is still there.
Not the same though.
But it's just not the same feel and the same vibe, and they're closed.
Okay, so when they were both open, did they both do the burger of the month?
Yeah, they
So they did the same one.
Usually they'll have they do their burger of the month, and it might be like at 2 or 3 other locations. I think they have 6 of them. There's one in Indianapolis too, and so they'll say when they do a burger of the month, they'll say it's at this one or this one or this one, and some of them will do they might say it's at all locations or whatever. And you just go to their website and you can kind of see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, they try to name all their burgers after great metal bands, and it gets more obscure, and the more different ingredients that they can put on to try and tie it in with the band somehow. And
I don't know if you know this or not, but I actually know a guy that is in a band that they named a burger after. And LeCan, you're going to owe me one for this. Putrid Pile. He's actually a one-man band, and he's like hardcore. I don't know. He can chime in when he sees this and tell me what it is. He'll probably berate me for misgenrering his music, but it's hardcore death metal. It's like grindcore. It's like always doing that, like with some of the pig squeal stuff, and it's like super gory lyrics. And he goes on tour. He was just on tour. He come back. He's a one-man band. He uses a drum machine. He sings and plays his guitar. He's been doing that forever. Putrid Pile. It was he played. We played a couple shows together because I was in a band. Obviously, you know that. When we played locally here, we made fun of him when he was first started doing this. We did a battle of the bands at RD's Retreat. And they had a bunch of the bands in the paper that they listed. And when they listed his, they spelled it wrong. So we all started making fun of him. We all were calling him Putrid Pie because they spelled putrid wrong. So it was like Putrid Pile. So we had a lot of laughs at that. But I grew up with that kid, like his older brother, who is now passed on. He was one of my good friends when I was in junior high, but I've known that dude for a long time. But he got a burger at Kuma's. I don't know if they did it out of pity or no, but I mean, I give the guy credit, man. Like I said, I know he goes in tours. He does a lot of tours down in Mexico, and I think he was just on the East Coast and does his thing. Good for him.
Yeah. I mean, the whole burger thing, it's kind of taken on a life of its own with who they name them after, what's on them. I think they do leave it open to any customers that, have an idea. So, if they mention a band, and sometimes bands come through town.
How about a dented burger?
Yeah,
They just smash the top of it, and it'll be a dented.
Yeah, but you gotta throw some weird crap on top of it just to kind of make it interesting. No,
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
Sauerkraut or something.
Well, yeah, instead of their normal pretzel bun that they serve them on, you could bake them up some fucking rye buns or some shit.
I could. Maybe I could get Jensen to bake me up some Sara Lee honey wheat.
Yeah, say wheat actually.
Wheat.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Well, it's like Cool Whip, like Stewie says on Family Guy. But yeah, I mean I think they take suggestions from customers. The owner it's named after his dog Kuma, and that's the original burger, is the one that you had when we went there.
Yeah, it was good.
And I haven't been there in a while, but I try to get down there often. I probably have tried maybe 8 different burgers. I tried a mac and cheese once. I actually went after a Sox opening day one time, and on the way home I'm like, I'm gonna stop there. And they you can do a build your own mac and cheese, so I did chicken, andouille sausage, and jalapeno.
That sounds good.
I called it Sox Squatch.
Sox Squatch.
No, Sox Squatch.
Socks. I know. I got you.
You said Sasquatch.
Well, I didn't say it exactly like you said it, but I was attempting to say it the way you said it. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, get with the program. Yeah, fuck yourself. So anywho, but yeah, they have that. So I did that. But yeah, there's in about 5 years ago or so, I was going down to games, and it's like, people talk about how great the food is at Guaranteed Rate Field, and it is good, but it's not near what it used to be. In fact, I think American Family Field has as good or better food options in the ballpark.
I heard they got some new shit coming out that sounds good this
year. And then they're always, each place, every stadium always tries to do better. And I think when you just stick with the basics and just make the basics, better, either better quality or something like that, I just think that that's better than trying to make up this whole new dish or whatever.
Sure.
So I don't think that Guaranteed Rate Field has really stepped up. They've made changes every year, but there's nothing that's really like, oh yeah, I got to go there for this. So I started going to a lot of neighborhood restaurants down there, and everybody gives me, first thing they say is, oh, it's the South Side of Chicago, it's a bad neighborhood. Number 1, Chicago, bad neighborhood. Second, or bad city. Then I'm in the South Side, bad neighborhood, and and there was a time when it was kind of scary to be around, especially like the old ballpark. The best thing that ever happened to Bridgeport is when they tore down the old ballpark and put up the new one, because it got rid of a lot of bad crap in the neighborhood by putting a new park up.
Yeah.
But just north of the park, like on 31st Street, there's actually 2 places near there that are really good. Freddy's on 31st. Right across the street from there is oh man, the name is at the tip of my tongue. I want to say it's Pancho Villa, but it's a great Mexican restaurant.
I was gonna say, what do they make? Czechoslovakian food?
Right, yeah. And there probably is a place that's right near there or whatever, but those are 2 of my faves. And there's a couple of bars that are within walking distance, from the parking lot, which is also kind of cool. It's not like a Wrigleyville where, you're just, stumbling from one bar into the next, but,
right.
But there's, one day I took a walking tour of about 6 bars around the area. I just said, I'm just going to do this before the game instead of, either tailgating or going inside and checking out all the crap in there. And, but yeah, there's a few places in that area, and I like to do that. Of course, there's all the pizza places. Yeah. Karen and I are big Lou Malnati's fans, and
my mom and my Gary are too. They love that pizza. It's not bad. I've had it.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago deep dish, right?
Yep. And yeah, there's actually one that's on State Street that is 800 South State Street. I just know the address. I don't know why. I just know it, but I know it. Maybe because I have to drive there all the time. But that's like our go-to place because it still gets busy, but a lot of times it's not. You can just park on the street. And how many times can you just park on the street in Chicago?
Right. Nice. How nice is that?
I mean, the first time I went down there, I did like a Spot Hero place in a garage, and I'm like, why did I do that? I could just park in the street. And ever since, I just might be a half a block away, but that's nothing. I mean, you're on State Street and you're parking on State Street. It's freaking great down there.
Nice.
Yeah. So
let's get down there and check out some more restaurants one of these days. I'm sure I'll get down to a Sox game with you at some point or another.
Yeah.
We can do some of that stuff.
We'll we got
another concert. I'm sure
we got to do that. Yeah, we got to do that too because we haven't done that quite enough. So
no. Yeah. Speaking of concerts, music. Let's talk thrash metal.
Excellent.
That's something you and I have in common for sure.
Oh yeah.
I got a lot of thoughts, a lot of things I want to talk to you about as far as that goes.
Bring it.
So as far as thrash metal goes, I don't know how much you, I mean, I'm a guitar player, right? You know that. So I some of this stuff that you might not care like this, but so I recently heard Dave Mustaine, and this might have been an old interview. Somebody was interviewed him and asked him who the, like Mount Rushmore or the best rhythm guitar players in thrash metal were. And in typical Dave Mustaine fashion,
did he name himself 4 times?
No, only once. Only once. But he says Malcolm Young, which is it's not thrash, but so they must have been asking rock or metal guitar, rhythm guitar players.
Got it.
James Hetfield, of course. He says James. He says myself, and then of course in typical Dave fashion, why it sounds very ostentatious, but I just think we're really good. And I don't disagree with him on what he says, like, because everybody regards Malcolm Young as one of the best rhythm guitar players in hard rock. And James Hetfield, we all know that guy's like a machine. You know, I mean, he's the down pick master.
Right.
That thrash sound that comes from him doing it. My pony is going crazy down here. Hey, stop kicking me. I'm trying to do a podcast, you jerk. He runs into sleep a lot. He's old. And Dave Mustaine, for what it's worth, I mean, he is, but I think he forgot somebody. There's somebody that I think that he should have named that got left out that deserves totally to be in the rhythm guitar player, like the best rhythm guitar players in metal. And that guy is Scott Ian.
I was going to say Scott Ian. Yeah.
He got left out of that. I mean, and I think as a guitar player, I think he's underrated. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Hetfield gets all the credit all the time. And so does Malcolm, because AC/DC is such an iconic band, right? They're just a Hall of Fame band, right?
Yeah.
But Scott Ian gets left out of that, which kind of gets me. So I'm trying to tie this all together into another part of this conversation as far as thrash goes. So you got the big 4, right?
Yep.
How do you feel about the big 4?
I just don't think that it should be who they are. I don't think that I don't agree with Slayer being in there.
You don't think sorry. Somehow I got a bunch of spit in my mouth trying to talk there.
You're salivating because we're talking about thrash metal.
I need another drink.
Yes.
So you think Slayer should be out of there?
Yep.
Okay. Tell me about that.
I mean, I know they're iconic. They were really, really good. But I think they peaked when other bands were still coming on. I think that their body of work is not, and I will always fight for this. Testament belongs in there before Slayer.
I agree with you. I mean, I don't know if I'd say before Slayer, but I agree that's why I have a problem with the big 4.
Yeah. I just think that I'm a huge Testament fan. I think their body of work is better than Slayer. I think it's better than Megadeth. Um, it's getting to a point where when you're looking at a body of work that it might even be better than Metallica, but Metallica had a hell of a run for a while. Um, and I'm also a big Anthrax guy, so if they're in there, yeah, we can keep those guys in there.
They belong in there. You know, I mean, well, I think part of that discussion should be, so Metallica is part of the big four, right? And I'm like, it's like, what are they basing the criteria off of? And I think I may have looked it up, and I don't know if it was record sales or something like that, because that's one thing. Like, I agree with you, and like the Testament, because they've been one of my favorite bands for a long time too, and those dudes have just been putting out great thrash albums for a long time. You know, they've got their couple that aren't so great, some mixed in there, but what band doesn't, right?
Right.
But why they're not in there, and Metallica, like you said, Metallica I'll say after the Black Album, because the Black Album was like a turning point. It was still a good album. It was more commercial than what people were used to, but it doesn't, you know, they still had some good thrashy songs, like what's the one towards the end of the album? That's a great song. Struggle Within.
Struggle Within is good. Through the Never is good.
Yeah.
That's stuff that you don't hear a whole lot of. They'll play Through the Never live a lot. And that's a beautiful thing about Metallica is they'll throw they'll mix their setup, so it's kind of cool to hear some different stuff that you don't always hear. That's something that they keep fresh, and that's great. I really do. I think that's special when bands can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, and you can go on with your.
I mean, well, just after that, they just kind of took a turn, and I don't consider what they're doing now thrash. It's not.
Right.
It doesn't, I'm not taking away from their music being good. I don't really listen to much of their newer stuff. There is some of it, and it's not bad. It doesn't get me like the early stuff did. Like, you know, obviously the Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning was always my favorite Metallica album. But back then, you know, the Kill 'Em All, and obviously the Kill 'Em All thing is like, that was something new. People weren't doing what they were doing. That was like the first of what they were doing. So they were like right there in the forefront. And then you got the Ride to Lightning, and then the Master Puppets, which is the I don't know. It's like one of the most iconic thrash albums, if not the most iconic album.
Right.
Like, it's a fucking great album, right? And then they followed up with Injustice for All after Cliff died, and they got a bass player, but turned him so far down in the mix you couldn't hear that he was even playing bass. And it was almost like a hazing thing from what I read. It's kind of weird, but I will say the album sounded great. That was the sound back then, though. You know, thrash metal was like real trebly. Nobody cared if there was bass in there. You didn't even know half the time. You know, like you listen to Overkill. Well, Overkill, you can hear the bass in there. But there's a lot of bands like you wouldn't even know there's a bass player in the band because it's just how their sound is set up.
Right. But I can't say I really showed up late to the Metallica party, but I mean I did see Cliff once at one show when they opened up for Ozzy, and then
Not me.
And they come back and they bring in Jason Newsted. He was fun to watch on stage. I mean, I saw, and like you said, when they were hot, when they came out with the Black Album, and then they were touring, and they toured that album for like 3 years on its own. And every time they came around, I went, and I was going so often I could even concentrate on like just him for a show, just to see what he was doing, because he was running around, heads on a swivel. He had backing vocals that were great, and sometimes he'd take over lead on Creepin' Death or something like that.
Yeah, he's a talented dude.
Yeah. And so that was always fun to see him. So that was awesome. And then, like you said, after the Black Album, they do the Load and Reload, which
those are terrible.
It just oversaturated. They could have taken what was on those two albums and made one album and probably have a decent album, because I do like some of the stuff that's there. Stuff like Ain't My Bitch is phenomenal. Fuel is good, and I like those songs. And I think if you would have just put all that stuff on, kind of crammed all the good into one album, they could have probably kept that thing going. And then after that, I could not, I still cannot. I have Saint Anger.
I was gonna say I like more songs on Saint Anger than I do on the Reload.
Yeah,
albums.
and that's where it kind of it goes in different
They got
directions
weird.
with everybody, and I totally get it.
They try too hard to make, to get just a different sound on Saint Anger because the music is good. They got good tunes on there, but the production was so horrible.
Right.
It just sounded like shit.
Yeah, and that's why I can't get through it.
It's hard. If if somebody was to remix that and take the trash can snare drum that they were using out of there, and put a regular snare in there, it might, it would totally sound different because there are some good music on that album. It was different what they were doing, but there is, I think there's some good music. But then, what they're doing now, again, that's not bad, but it's not thrash, right?
No.
And it hasn't been for a while. So going back to your point of almost throwing them out of there to have Testament in there, I think they should just expand it, and not be the big four. Why can't we just because Testament is for sure somebody that should be in there. I'm a huge fan. Sepultura, I think, had a lot of influence back then too. And they had a really good run. I mean, I like Sepultura so much. I got Max Cavalera's tattoo.
Nice.
I also got accused of being James Hetfield at a show at, where were we? The Summerfest place. What's that called? What was it called back then? Whatever the amphitheater was back then.
The Marcus Amphitheater?
Yeah, the Marcus. I think that's what it was. Yeah, because James was one of my heroes too, I tried to emulate him playing guitar and Max. I thought those guys, they were my two guys that I kind of wanted to emulate when I was learning how to play guitar and I was getting into that stuff. So I had longer hair, longer than this back then. And I had the James Hetfield mustache beard thing that he had going on in the 90s. And I remember we're at the concert. I'm standing in the bleachers. Some guy turns around. He says, "Hey man, shouldn't you be up there singing right now?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Hey, just go along with it.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I got to tell you. Just speaking of that, so me and Jenny went and saw Pantera and your favorite band, Leg of Lamb of God.
Like a Lamb of God.
Lamb of God is great. I probably told you this a couple times. I was glad that we stayed and saw them. They're a great live band. They were really, 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 really good. But the funniest part about that, I think I might have got a picture of this kid. Me and Jenny both look over because we're in the pitch because she got somebody won tickets and gave them to her. And so we're right down there, right by the stage, right where you like to be.
Yeah, I do.
Yep. And there was mini Dave Mustaine there. This fucking kid, I am not shitting you. Jenny says, "That kid looks just like Dave Mustaine." I look over, I'm like, holy fuck, he does. So then some guy was talking to him at one point, and he comes over. I said, "Hey, were you talking to mini Dave Mustaine over there?" He's like, "Yeah, man." I said to him, like, "Hey, anybody ever tell you look like Dave Mustaine?" And he goes, "Who's that?"
Oh,
and I'm like, "Are you shitting me?" And then he goes, "No, I'm just kidding. I know he is." But I'm telling you,
That's
dude,
awesome.
That kid looked like a 12-year-old Dave Mustaine, like no doubt. He had the long red hair, just like him. Probably couldn't play guitar for a lick, but whatever. It was a cool story. So yeah, getting back to the big four, I'm not a fan of that label like that. I think they're leaving for sure Testament, no doubt.
Yeah.
You could throw Exodus in there, I guess, if you wanted to. They're not a bad band either,
Right.
But I guess sooner or later you have to draw the line. You can't have the million,
the big 12, the big 80.
Yeah, right. The big everybody.
Yeah.
Let's just put everybody in there.
I mean, I honestly, I just wish they would package more shows together.
They did. I mean, was that back in the 90s or late 80s? Didn't Testament, weren't they on tour with them?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few packages that were out. Actually, I just was looking back on one because I was just thinking of just a few different shows. Well, there's Clash of the Titans that was done.
Yeah.
That was what was that Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Alice in Chains, I think.
Was that Clash of the Titans?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of odd. Alice in Chains was
yeah,
in there?
yeah, they were the opener, but they were just coming on.
Okay.
But that third album at the time was pretty good, so if you're going to go out there for 25, 30 minutes, go out to that album. That doesn't suck.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was cool. There was a Masters of Metal. I'm sorry. It was called Metal Masters in 2008. It was Testament, Motorhead, Judas Priest, and Heaven and Hell. It was the Ronnie James Dio led.
Oh, I was gonna say
Black
that's
Sabbath.
okay. They called themselves Heaven and Hell
For like when they came back around, I think it was the whole, Sharon must have, Sharon Osbourne must have, said something and said, you guys can't be Black Sabbath anymore.
I got you.
So they were Heaven and Hell. And that was a pretty good lineup. That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And again, any lineup with Testament is good. But yeah, I mean, if you can do, 3 and 4 is a lot, because in a show, I mean, I still like, I say Testament, I love those guys so much, but when they're on a bill, they're playing the least. And it's like, no, man, you should be higher up on the bill, and you guys should be, churning out a 75, 90, minute set with no problem. And they're playing half hour, 45 minutes. And that's what they did at that night. But,
yeah,
but it was a pretty good lineup. But and back then, I mean, I saw in Chicago, I saw Judas Priest Painkiller tour, and that was the thing about like that was like right when I was getting into thrash. So again, late to the thrash party, but that was 90. And Painkiller tour, second on the bill was Megadeth for Rust in Peace. Third on the bill was Testament, and they were doing Souls of Black.
Souls of Black, yeah.
I mean, those are 3 fantastic albums, and then the 3 bands that are touring on those albums are on the same bill.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. I mean, so much. I mean, and I was in the 4th row. It was so much freaking energy.
See, you like to be right down there. That's what I said.
Yeah,
I know. Stage left.
Yeah, man. Stage left on a general admission show, but this one I was right in the center, and did the old thing back in the day where you're rocking the hanging out forever at the mainstream downtown for tickets and whatnot.
That place, oh yeah,
That's
going back.
Yeah, plenty of hours down there, and I had a pretty good run of getting really good seats for a while, and that was one of them, and it was just kind of cool to and sometimes I was getting lucky on the phone. I mean, especially like for like Chicago shows, you're not going down, to a Chicago outlet back then. You could, but you just took your chances at either trying the phone or going to mainstream to see if they would do it. And I had made friends with the manager down at mainstream. So
Sarge, get out of there. What are you doing?
It was nice to go down there and camp out for tickets, and it was actually pretty cool.
I'm listening to you. I'm like, what is this guy doing over here? Sarge, get out of there.
Hey, buddy.
Go away. Yeah. See, your legs are bad. You can't back up. Go away somewhere.
There's good.
Anyways. Sorry about that. I don't know what this dog is doing. Yeah.
So yeah, that was that. I mean, so I would love to see, some 3-band packages that are out there that are really good bands, and I think you still get that a little bit, but it's just not, the names just aren't as big. And so I kind of missed that.
Yeah.
And maybe it was because of the time that they were in their careers. I think that and I talk about, when I talk about Slayer kind of peaking, again, late to the party, but I was introduced to Slayer with the Seasons in the Abyss album.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that's when you first, okay.
Yeah, so that was when I first like knew, more about them, and that was the album I was getting into.
It's a good album.
I love that album. And then you can go into the back catalog, and like right after they did their live album, Decade of Aggression, and it's like you can, some albums are fantastic all the way through live albums or whatever. And that Decade of Aggression album is pretty good, but that 2 CDs back then, that first disc is by far like just phenomenal. I can listen to that all day, every day. And the second disc is still good, but I mean, because they basically broke up a couple of shows and put it together. But that that first disc is like 10 songs of like the best of the best, and so I mean it's just really good. But then after that, man, I don't know if I could handle really anything that they did after that. I do like God Send Death was good.
I don't know if I know that.
Was a couple albums ago, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I kind of checked out of them afterwards. So they had a couple of God Hates Us All was an album that was a good album.
That's what it was. God Send Death is on that album.
Okay, yeah. Got it. So that was a good. I thought it was pretty good. It
was probably their last good album.
What was the album?
Then they got like punky with their style.
They did.
Undisputed Attitude.
Like the newer stuff is not not great, but excuse me, there was one other. The album wasn't great, but the opening song. Oh, what's the name of this song? I can't think of it. Like,
you'll get there.
I can't think of it. It's the title track to the album. I got to look it up because it's a great song, and I went to see them after that album came out, and they opened the set with it. We saw them at the Eagles Club, and it's such a great opening song that I was like, this. It was just, man, it just like totally set the place off like instantly. I'm like, and that was my first time seeing Slayer. So for me, I was like, oh man, this is a jam. I didn't even know the song when World Painted Blood.
Okay.
Oh,
yep.
Hell, that was so hard to think of. That's fucking
right.
Good song. But they opened the show with that, and it was like, oh man, what a jam. But that was the only good song on that album. That's the thing.
And that might have been their last good touring run too.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And I saw, again, talking about these packages or whatever that you throw out 3-4 bands, and I'm trying to remember who we all saw that night, but I did see Slayer and Megadeth on another bill. And it was a show in Chicago, and it was a tour where Megadeth played Rust in Peace in its entirety.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah. And that was kind of a nice little change of pace of and they play a couple songs to open, play the album, play a couple songs at the end, and that's their set, and it was perfect.
I saw Anthrax do Among the Living in its entirety at the rave.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fucking great night that was. That was a good show.
Lots of Anthrax shows. So yeah, I've seen lots of good ones, and in lots of places. Testament, Anthrax are probably they might be up there in the bands I've seen the most, and Anthrax definitely has been some pretty wild different places, between Summerfest and the rave, and the Aragon Brawl Room and the Eagles, the Vic, the Riviera, all down in Chicago, and all the other big venues, Alpine Valley, Tinley Park.
Speaking of Summerfest, I told you about Anthrax played there a couple of years ago. I told you the story with my brother, right?
Yeah.
He ran into Joey Belladonna just like on the street.
Yeah.
He was eating his lunch at a park, and he's like, "Hey, you're Joey Belladonna." He's like, "Yeah, hey man, how's it going?" He's chatting him up, and then Joey like walked back to his office with him.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool story.
Like, because my brother worked with a guy who was a big metalhead. And he just like, they kind of walked at his office. Hey, I want you to meet my friend Joey. And he walks in, he's like, what the fuck? I'm like, how crazy is it? It's just how crazy is that you're going to run into a guy who's like somebody that you thought was